Good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are. Thanks for attending today's webinar. So we're going to be talking why mid-market organizations need quality management now more than ever. And I'm so pleased to be joined today by Christy Jean. She is a quality engineer at ComDel Innovation. So before we get started, I do want to talk a little bit about housekeeping. So if you do have questions, you can put those in the questions drop down and go to webinar, and we will get to those at the end of the presentation. So if you don't know much about ETQ, I'll give you a little background. We have been empowering quality champions for over 30 years. So we have quality management system software, and we work with some of the world's largest companies, some of the world's smallest companies. It doesn't matter your size, really. We work with all kinds of different customers, and I'll show you some of those on the next page. But we're based in the Boston area. We have offices in Arizona and Ireland. We have over 1 million active users of our software, and we have been recognized by organizations like G2, Verdantix, and featured customers for having some of the best quality management software out there. So like I said, we have all kinds of customers spanning different industries like med device and life sciences, manufacturing, contract manufacturing, food and bev. And there's a lot of knowledge sharing even between industries, because at the end of the day, it's all about having quality products. So it just cross-pollinates across all these different industries. So there's a lot of learning to be done from industry to industry, and everything comes together with quality. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the challenges that a lot of organizations experience. So a lot of organizations manage quality processes manually or on paper, and there's a lot of issues with that. So that data is static, it's siloed, you can't really track any trends in your data, it's inefficient, there's a lot of clicking around, having the wrong people in the wrong files. So there's just a lot that can go wrong with paper, and Christy's going to talk about that a little bit. But I mean, we see organizations using stuff like spreadsheets and SharePoint, and there's just a lot that can go wrong. So why automate these quality processes? You want a single source of truth for all of your processes and all of your documentation, so everyone has the right information in the right place and it's easy to access. And an important thing is maintaining compliance. So if you're in a regulated industry like med device or life sciences, you have FDA requirements to meet, but there's also other standards out there that organizations have to comply with, and you got to maintain that compliance. It helps you also be audit ready, which audits are a big time suck for a lot of people. So automating that can make it really easy for you. You can go beyond digitizing just your documents and connect workflows across your entire organization. So not just your quality department working in a quality management system, it can really help a lot of your organization. There's data sharing and developing more insight to continuous improvement, which is a big goal with a lot of organizations. And Christy's going to talk a lot about this. Automating quality and having it all in one place, it really fosters that collaboration and a culture of quality. So that culture of quality is really important to having the best products out there and just making sure that your organizations are doing the best that they can. And of course, we all saw with the pandemic and of course economic conditions, it allows you to be more adaptable and resilient when your company is growing or changing, and you'll be ahead of that no matter what. So now I am going to turn it over to Christy. She's going to talk about her company, ComDel Innovation, and their quality journey. Christy, take it away.
Thanks, Liz. Appreciate the invite to present a little bit about our time with a electronic quality management system, and a little bit about our culture that we have here at ComDel. My background is I am a chemical engineer who spent some time doing process work when I first left grad school, and spent about 7 years doing process engineering. I then left for a brief period of time and was an assistant professor at a 2-year college for almost 10 years, and then came back to the site, ComDel Innovation, and I've now been working a little over 7 years as a quality engineer. So next slide. ComDel Innovation is located, if you want to go forward one, Liz, is located in Wahpeton, North Dakota. Yes, you're going to hear the accent on occasion, the North Dakotan accent, can't stop it. But we are a contract manufacturer. We are small, we have about 330 employees, and we work with over 200 customers. And those customers come to us with their different parts. And right now we are delivering over 3,000 different parts for those customers. Wahpeton has about 13,000 people, and we do have a 2-year college, which we benefit greatly with regards to our maintenance and our workforce that way. So if you look at our manufacturing space, over the years we've evolved, and we are actually at the point now where we have clean room space, and we also have a fabrication services center. And in the end, our goal is to commit and deliver innovation and results for our customers. And that's where the word ComDel comes from. So if you go to the next slide, where we started is back in 1975, we were actually a 3M plant. And back in the day, when they first were picking locations, 3M was locating across the nation. And one thing that they looked for was, for example, the 2-year college at the site. While in the Wahpeton site, we were actually making beta and VHS tapes. We were also the world leading producers of diskettes, and we've made over 6 billion of those at our facility. But as you all know, you're not currently using your diskettes. And 3M in about 1996 decided to spin off a portion of that data storage business. And so our site, with the history that we had, we actually became a site focused on optical data storage. And we were making rewritable CDs. We also made some Blu-ray rewritable at this location in Wahpeton. And we were starting to get approached by other companies out there, like, for example, Microsoft. That Xbox jewel that was on top, that was actually made in Wahpeton. Originally, they had it made elsewhere, overseas, and the quality wasn't there. So they had come to us, and because of the relationships, they knew the quality would be there. And so we started doing more than just the data storage. Well, much like the diskette, not many people are using rewritable CDs either. Technology changes. So in 2007, the site was officially closed as an innovation site, and it then became a ComDel innovation site. 3 of the employees decided to take what was there, take the technical team, which included tool makers, maintenance, engineers, take all that know-how and basically start up our own contract manufacturing site. So we're able to do mold design. We also are able to do our own equipment fabrication and mold fabrication. Our specialty is plastic injection molding. We have over 60 molding machines. They vary in their type. We also have the know-how to do assembly. We can build it from scratch and put in the necessary quality control measures for anything from low volume to also the very high volume. We're very fortunate to have had those people with the experience of making diskettes, making millions of them, making them very fast. That type of know-how really became beneficial when working with customers that needed high volume applications, because we're able to quickly design assembly. We also are able to do precision machining. We have CNC machining centers, and we also work with Swiss screw machines. And we have a portion of our business that does thread rolling and forming machines. So that's some of the technologies that we have at our site. We get customers that come to us because we are a vertically integrated manufacturing site. What that means is they can come from the beginning, and from their idea, we can take them all the way through shipment. And so we have had ideas on napkins. Some customers come to us with a full quality requirements document. They know all the details, they have all their prints. We also have some customers who've never done this before and they need help going through the whole process. So we've been through the different stages of it. We do have background in lean manufacturing and apply the different aspects of lean to almost everything that we do. So this becomes pretty challenging when you have so many diverse customers coming at you with all these different part numbers. So on this next slide, we really, as a company, we were growing and we really had to think about how we can deliver consistent quality and minimize the risk for such different market segments. Because whether it's an FDA audit or if it's an ISO 9001 audit, you want to make sure that you're ready for those requirements. And every step that you're taking along the way, you're minimizing risk to your customer. So we have commercial products that we do, and we also have agriculture, and then a portion of our business is also then the medical devices. So for us, as we first started back in 2007, we did have an electronic quality management system where we were keeping our documents, but it was very, very clumsy. And as we were growing, we knew that we needed something with a lot more flexibility, especially as our customer base started growing so quickly. And so that's when we came to the point of looking for a new option, and we settled on ETQ. And we are using some different modules that they have available. And those are in the right corner, the safety data sheets. We are using it for document control. The add-on module is the ability to speak to our ERP system where we can bring in the part numbers, part descriptions, and customer and supplier names. We also have some features such as delegation. So if somebody's gone on vacation, documents don't wait. We're able to use that module, and anything that somebody does while somebody else is on vacation is totally tracked and fully traceable. So using this electronic quality management system really helped feed into what we wanted to achieve, and that was a true culture of quality. So on the next slide, we started to put together what aspects we all consider part of our culture of quality. And it takes leadership, it takes the relationships, you need to have the right employees, and then also defining what your process is. And for us, we came up with an overall mantra of doing the right thing when no one else is looking. And that actually came from an ETQ conference when we first signed on in 2018. It really stuck with us because that gets hard, doing the right thing when no one else is looking, because that really takes a lot of effort, because sometimes it's easier just to kind of let things slide. But if you're going to do the right thing, you got to do it all the time. So from our leadership, we really look for clear objectives and commitment. Making that decision to update our documentation system, because we did have an electronic documentation system, but we were stumbling and it was just inefficient. So the fact that leadership came forward and said, yes, we will commit to making a new investment, the learning pains of a new software, but we are committed to it because it feeds to our culture of quality. And in that, we also have, our leadership recognizing achievements, and then also tying into the risk. Does it actually help mitigate risk? And have we actually done what's best for the customer? With regards to our relationships, our first relationship is with our employees, making sure that we know that we are working together, and in everything that we do, we are safe, and that our customers are at the forefront of our thoughts. We also take into account the relationship with our community, because we are living in Wahpeton, North Dakota. We want to make sure that that is a sustained relationship and that our workforce wants to live here and stay here, and help with retention that way. And nowadays, with regards to the employees, retention is a big challenge. Knowing that you have employees that are engaged and empowered to do the right thing, empowered to do it efficiently is a very big deal. And that ties then into how well you are training and are they really learning content and being able to share it. And so in the end, a number of us are engineers, so we then go to that process. Are we able to not only take where we are status quo, but then also improve upon it? And can we challenge ourselves to get even better? So with that, we'll need to be able to measure it correctly and then also have those metrics to march up against. So in essence, this is kind of our achieving a culture of quality and the different ways that we try and tackle it and some of the different aspects there. So on the next slide, when we did update our QMS in 2018, it was a big deal. It was a big step and a big, not necessarily a leap of faith, but it took a commitment and there was a lot of hard questions to answer because it's like, why? I mean, yeah, we're a little bit inefficient, but we're functioning. Well, the quality department came forward and said, we have a goal of being able to pass validation based on our ISO certifications. And we are 9001, 13485, 14001, and we also had AS 9100 with aerospace. So these auditors were coming in all the time. And it's not a fun feeling when an auditor is asking you a question and you can't quickly respond and deliver the results. So when we brought that forward and how often we were doing okay, but we knew we weren't doing up to our potential, and we knew that we weren't at a full safe place with regards to risk. You know, there was always just that little bit of unease. So that helped us take that step forward. And we also wanted to get to the point of e-signature compliant. And that was a frustrating point because getting a signature on a sheet of paper when you have all that great work done and you've all been sharing all that information, getting that signature and then getting it scanned in, hard copies are just so frustrating, and it's just demoralizing when you have all that good work done and then you have to get one more signature and then one more signature and then now I can scan it. So another one that we had talked a lot about is just the fact that we could be e-signature compliant. In order to justify it though, we did go through that return on investment. We had 2 documentation coordinators. A portion of their job was related to documentation. And so we were able to say, okay, everybody's working on their documents, and then they all funnel to a documentation coordinator. We took that amount of time and we estimated what would be minimized with this switch to ETQ in our case. So we were able to attribute dollars there. The other thing is we did time studies on manual doc routing versus an automated workflow. And back then, much smaller, fewer customers than our 200 plus now, we were able to assign over $22,000 a year wasted in manual doc routing. You know, timing someone from going from one area to another, just trying to find out where that document was, scanning of items and things like that. So if you're looking for that investment on it, you'd be very surprised if you do a time study how much that cycle you find wasted time. We also then got an assessment of how much we were wasting on scanning of our change requests and scanning and being sure that we had a good traceability for our archiving of documents. That one came in over at $6,000 per year. And probably the epitome of the frustration is the very last area. Our previous system had different file rooms, and so documents were put in different file rooms, and the search feature wasn't great. And we actually did time studies then on our technicians on the floor searching for documents, and we found that we were wasting over $9,000 in text, just not being able to find the right document and keeping searching for that. So if you want to go to the next one. So with that, we are working in this new environment with the electronic quality management system, and we recognize the benefits of what we were hoping for. we achieved all this efficient workflow. We didn't have to scan anymore. We had automatic archiving. So we had all those things that we knew we were going to get. But the great part about our current situation is that we have now put ourselves in a position where there's a lot more potential. And with that, or what I'm trying to say there is that we're working in a pull environment. That's from the lean manufacturing, where you can have a push or a pull. And we're finding that our stakeholders, because they've seen ETQ function, now they're asking for more. They're actually asking us to deliver more. And so we find that, for example, from our leadership, they have seen ETQ function with doc control in the workflow. At the end of our quarterly management reviews, if there's something that we're being inefficient with, or if there is a weakness, frequently they will make the statement, well, maybe ETQ has a function for that, and maybe ETQ can help us be more efficient for that. So an example there is that we actually designed and developed an HR human resource module with workforce. There is some turnover, and we were finding that some individuals would maybe be applying to our company multiple times. And that gets exhausting. And depending on the quality of the individual that's applying, they might not be worth the investment of time. So now with that module that we designed, instead of a file cabinet, and we had many file cabinets full of the paperwork, and people change their names or don't type their name exactly the same or use their nicknames sometimes on the application. Now they're able to find out, okay, this individual's applying. This individual applied 3 times before. The first time they didn't answer when we asked them to come in for an interview. Or did they interview, and this is what we determined based on that interview. So that HR module was something where we were pushed by people, or there was the pull, but we were encouraged to actually then make a module happen to make them be more efficient with HR. Huge time saver, no longer all the multiple file cabinets, and our HR department, everyone can be on the same page. They know exactly how far along everybody is in that process. So that's been a huge perk. The other area is in the relationships, and Liz talked about it early on in the slides with regards to one truth. We are finding that having a system with columns and everything clearly laid out, it's greatly minimizing the drama with all that info clearly listed and present. So we can see for documentation who has a lot of documents that they're maybe not getting through. And then we can ask ourselves, is their workload too high? Do we maybe need to get them some support so that they can get through their documents? So it just minimizes the drama. We know where things are at, and it just helps us be more effective and efficient that way. And it also removes the excuses. When I go out to the floor, and being a quality engineer, the joke would always be, oh, here comes quality. She's gonna visit with you. Well, if they have a question or they want to know something about the product that they're working on, we now just ask them, what does it say in ETQ? What does the procedure say? What does the QC check say? It removes these excuses, and it just allows them to own what they're doing, which then now slides over to the employees. The employees are able to, by typing in a part number, pull up the relevant documents for their job packet. And because they have this quick access and they're empowered, we are finding that they're even becoming co-owners of these documents. They want to see them get better. And they are providing input to this content because they know that they exist for them. And so we're getting improvements on images or clarity on statements. And it's been a huge, huge shift, because originally the thought was, well, we just hope that they log in and want to look for a document. We are moving past that with a number of our employees where they're not just looking for the document, they're telling us, ooh, can you make this better? So that's been a huge positive for us. And then finally, down in that process area, we are at the point where We are getting robust revision control, our change management. Our ERP will have from the customer a given rev level where they know what the customer wanted at that time. And in our system, we have that customer's rev level. But being able to run queries in the background and verify that they're at that same level has been a game changer. We are finding that with some of our very large customers, we are actually the ones who notify them that they might not be on the right rev level. And so it's really nice because when you have over 3,000 part numbers, being able to control that stuff in the background, you do need someone who knows how to script things or be able to query and check against stuff like that. But it's a huge area of opportunity in order to keep everything aligned, especially, you know, if you're working with a lot of different part numbers that are going to be changing over time. So with that, this kind of all just comes together for our company ourselves, because our mission, again, is to commit and deliver innovation and results for our customers. And we want to be innovative. We want to, you know, use our technology, our teamwork, tenacity, and our customers come to us sometimes with really tough problems, but we want to be the ones who can deliver one-stop shop. And if we can, our customers will be successful because we're going to be able to deliver, you know, their product, high quality, on time, every time. And then the next slide just basically says our values. Not everybody wants to live in Wapaton, North Dakota. We do. We choose to live here. And, you know, reputation only lasts so long. And for us, we know that we have to step up and deliver consistently, because it doesn't take much for that relationship to go downhill if there isn't the trust and that, you know, relationship to know that you are committed to them. And so we just want to make sure that we have a good company, that we have a reputable company, because in the end, our community in Wapaton is just the better for it. So that is ComDel Innovation in a nutshell and our culture of quality.
Thanks, Christy. I think you guys have such a great story, and I loved seeing the pictures of the diskettes and the rewritable CDs. It takes me back.
Yeah.
So before we get to audience Q&A, and I encourage anyone to submit questions at any point when you have them, I do have a couple questions for you. So let's talk about management buy-in. So when you were looking to bring in an electronic quality management system, what were the leaders at your organization looking for? And I know you did that time study on some of the hours and dollars that you could save, but what was your management looking for, and how did you, I guess, communicate that with them?
So the initial buy-in was very difficult because you don't buy this level of software every day. And from a manufacturing facility, they would be familiar with AutoCAD, or they'd be familiar with SolidWorks. And if the were purchasing a new press, they totally know how that works. You know, you're going to get it delivered this day. We're going to have to make sure that there's air, water, facilities, you know, everything like that. So being able to lay out that return on investment was tough, because sometimes, you know, especially when you're coming up with numbers like $22,000, how can that be real? And then you sit down and you're like, no, really, we are wasting that much time. We are wasting that much time. So as they started to hear that more and more, and it was also hard in the beginning because we did do so well in our audits. So then how can you convince them, we'll spend this money because we want to do better? No, we're like, no, we have risk here. We need to be able to find these documents. We need solid rev control and call. And it's really hard when you have to call out your gaps and what you're not doing well in that purchase. But, you know, when we got to that point, it was a big deal. And I remember the one moment I had one of upper management in the room and I was demoing ETQ, and I typed in a part number and the 5 documents showed up. He's like, if it's that easy to find your document, I am sold. I don't care what the rest of the system does, because that's how hard it was to find it in the other one. So it's kind of that process. It took a bit.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I know a culture of quality is super important at your organization. Let's talk a little bit about that. Quality isn't just the quality department's responsibility. It is definitely everyone's, right? So how do we get that culture of quality mindset organization-wide?
So finding, for us, one area of success has been finding the right champion or whisperer that can infiltrate and share the stories and relate to them, so that they can put it in their own words and within their own experience what their role is. And that included going to the crew meetings and having the conversations about how we messed up, if we messed up. Okay, we messed up. But like, we didn't whitewash the hard questions. We would bring something forward with those texts because they were part of when it was made. And we said, all right, here's a mistake. Do you realize now we have to make the decision? What do we do about this mistake? Now I'm going to be calling the customer. Okay, what do we tell them? How great is this? You know, and they become part of that then, and connecting, finding that connection, that person who can relate to them, not belittle, not talk down, but truly connect to what their role was in it. And that's been a big help. And then conveying that the documents are there for them. That was a big thing too. Because we even got to the point where they said, oh, well, can't you just have them all printed out for us? Well, then we had the discussion about, well, if you're making documents better, we're going to be changing refs all the time. If we're making improvements, if we are listening to you, we should always be changing the refs. How can we have a hard copy if we're always making improvements? So then they realized, if you're listening to me, I need to go online in order to get the latest and greatest. So yeah, it's kind of in that relationship there. And then the other point, our management has actually allowed us to put someone in the role of the whisperer or liaison. She has production experience, quality experience, but she also has kind of that mindset that understands computers. You know, she likes spreadsheets. She's that mindset. Gotta love her. And so we have found that having her being able to communicate with our ETQ designer has really also been another perk, because then she can see the benefit and opportunity, and we get to the finish line faster. So that's been another huge one that is getting us to the finish line.
That's awesome. And you talked a little bit about building that custom module for HR. So I think that speaks to the flexibility of ETQ. So can you talk a little bit about if something is inefficient or if something isn't working as well as it could, what's kind of the process there with identifying that and ETQifying it, if you will?
I like that. Yeah, I mentioned please don't change the name because it's become a verb around here. Yeah, did you ETQ it? I ETQ'd it. So how the process of that really becomes what irritates you. I mean, okay, I guess I moved enough to turn the light on again. And the frustration, and I think there's almost certain people who identify those inefficiencies better than others. But if you are just irritated that you can't find something or you don't know where something is, can you use ETQ? And we've had somebody from warehouse contact us. We've had somebody from maintenance contact us. Yeah, we're getting them from all sides. Right now, basically, it's our bandwidth trying to put these improvements in, because we are getting so many great ideas where we could be more efficient. So being irritated by it, being inefficient with it, there's a way. There's totally a way.
Yeah, I love that. So while we wait for some questions to come in, we have some polls. It's poll time. So maybe we'll have some good stuff to talk about here. So our first poll, I will launch it in 1 second. So our first poll is, how is your organization managing quality management today? So do you use paper, manual processes, spreadsheets, a bunch of different things, a homegrown solution? Maybe you already have an automated QMS, so we want to hear that too. So we'll give people a few more seconds to weigh in here. Christy, maybe you'll find some other file cabinet ninjas, if you will.
It's amazing where people were storing stuff before.
Yeah, so let's share these results. So oh, look at that. So we have 50-50 here, spreadsheets and several different methods or different systems. Anything
Yeah,
to add there, Christy?
I mean, it's tough, and the hard part is when some of it's working for you, then you think, well, it's okay because it's working for us, but
Mm-hmm.
and that learning curve. But boy, when you can get everything in one spot, it is so much easier.
That's awesome. So next poll, we're going to talk culture of quality. So in your organization, who's responsible for quality? Is it top management, the quality managers? Is it everyone? Is it someone else? If it's someone else, you can put that in the chat. So we'll just give people some time to weigh in here. And Christy, I know this culture of quality is so important to your organization. And I think I know what your answer would be, and that's everyone.
Yeah, well, if you can get there.
Yeah. All right, we have some results here. Drum roll. So 67% of people who answer this poll say it's the quality manager's responsibility, which I think that's at least a good place to start, right, Christy? And I think it's getting those relationships and the processes and everything you had on that kind of honeycomb slide.
Right. Yeah. At least they're setting the tone. I mean, that helps. Yeah.
And last poll, let's do, so which of these processes are the most inefficient at your organization? Document control, CAPA, nonconformances, employee training, change management, maybe all of the above. That's not one of the answers, but maybe it is. So let's wait here for some answers to pour in. Christy, what do you think is going to be number one?
Oh, well, for us, it's employee training. Oof.
All right, we'll give people a few more seconds. Last call. All right, so I think you're in good company, Christy. 25% of people said employee training. Another 25% said document control. Oh, and we have 25% on CAPA too. So that's a good split. I think there's room for improvement on all of these in any organization.
Right. It's hard to button up CAPAs and nonconformances and closing the loop on those.
Yeah, so thank you to our audience for their participation in that. Let's see if we have any questions yet. And while we're waiting for some questions, I'm going to put up this slide. So we have tons of resources on our website, etq.com/etq-resources, all kinds of webinars, case studies. We have some awesome guides and white papers. And of course, if you'd like to talk to us, you can request a demo with us too at etq.com. All right, so we have a question. Thank you so much, Brad, for this question. So who was all involved in the decision process of getting an EQMS?
So the decision of which one, we had like a pros and cons, and then a cost, because holy buckets, some of these are expensive. And then you also have to take into account your licenses. And we knew we wanted a number of licenses because we wanted people getting into the system. And so initially there was a small group of us that kind of canvassed and looked at the different options that were out there. We knew that we were far enough along that we couldn't go with extremely basic. And so the moment that we went into this next level of performance, especially with e-signatures and being able to have this archiving and that level of change management built within the workflow, there is a wide array of, a wide range of cost. And so there was a core group of us that put the options together. We presented that to a team. We have an internal review board, and that consists of our upper management and our lead project engineers. And they all go through the cost proposal. So I actually had to go through a full proposal as to what we are considering, and then that return on investment. So it wasn't just upper management, even just our, includes our project engineers as well.
That's awesome. I have a question here about adoption. So it's hard to bring in a new system and get people on board with it. How in your organization have you fostered that adoption of using what was probably a very brand new system to a lot of people?
So for part of it, I'm a firm believer that they have to want it. And so there would be some instances where certain product lines would actually take advantage of the system for prints with the reps. And I did not force others to go down that path because they had to come to that realization themselves. But I would make sure that we would advertise the perks of it, and we would call out the perks of it in audits. And that also ties into that whisperer, where she is also able to share it. And the more that the positivity of the success gets shared, the more the others are like, oh, could you come over and help us get ours transferred over, for example. So finding your early adopters with that right person was the way we got it. And we've had some techs give us input on documentation that I never would have guessed. One, that they were looking at the documents. Great. Makes it sound like I don't think much of this technician. But I was a young kid, and I just assumed that he would know the process. So I just didn't assume he would have the document beside him. I just assumed he would just be going, But he actually then also provided input. There's a notification method within ETQ, and he would send out notifications saying, hey, can you change this? Because, it would make it easier if everybody knew that they could do it this way. Just blew my mind. And so by giving those options, you'll find out who some of your early adopters are, and you maybe don't even realize that they were your early adopters. So that's kind of fun. We also had somebody who had ideas, and she kind of had things laid out, and she's had them for a couple of years, but they never gained traction. With her being an early adopter, we made sure that she was listened to and we acted on it. And them seeing actual action being taken place, that really helped adoption, because they're like, okay, we are being listened to, they do care, and and it's getting implemented. So those are a couple of the ways. Yeah, those are a couple of the ways.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you guys are so great at empowering others to use the system and really communicating those benefits. I think that's something that's lost on a lot of organizations, and I think the celebrating of these things is
Mhm.
important to do, and
Right.
you guys are living proof of that.
Yeah, and so like with some of the techs, we were giving them $5 vending vouchers. And it wasn't the money, it was just the appreciation. It was a token of appreciation. So they'd get a $5 vending coupon if they sent a notification through. And the note basically said, thank you for making us stronger. Thank you for helping us take care of our customers. You are making our systems better.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll give our audience a minute or two more to submit questions. In the meantime, thank you, Christy, so much. You guys have such a great story, and I
Well,
love the
we
positive
appreciate
environment.
Yeah, usually. But yeah, and we really appreciate ETQ's support. It's in particular the conferences. So some are considering it, getting a chance to meet other customers. So I'm someone that would be willing to help out if anyone's having questions about things. But you guys do a really nice job of creating that support group, not just within the ETQ resources, but also your customers interacting together and solving problems. And I think it just makes us more powerful as we try and get things done. So it's really appreciated, Liz. Thank you.
Of course. So it doesn't look like we have any more questions. So I just want to thank everyone for coming, and we will be sending out the recording and the slide deck afterward, along with some follow-up resources. So thank you again, Christy, and I hope everyone has a great day.
Thanks, Liz.